Hey everybody, it's Kanaka 1893. It's my first post on YouTube, and it's a focus on Naruto and how he's going to get a Rinnegan, or my theory as to why I think he'll get a Rinnegan. Now, I know that we're at the point in the manga where we're in the Fourth Ninja World War, and there's three major battles, one being Naruto with Guy and Kakashi against Tobi, as well as the Uchiha brothers versus Kabuto, and the third one being the five Kages versus Edo Madara. My focus, however, is obviously going to go back to Naruto and his group versus Tobi. Um, this specific battle is really interesting to me because it kind of sparked this idea that what you call sorry, brain fart, but that Naruto is slowly showing signs of becoming either a reincarnated version of the Sage of Six Paths or the newly formed Sage of Six Paths. This has been confirmed primarily because one of his appearance, and two, him showing signs of being recognized by the Bijou themselves as being a new Sage of Six Paths. Now you're going to ask, well, how is this relative to him attaining the Rinnegan? The big arguments against him getting a Rinnegan or having a power-up like that is that, one, he's not from a line that has a dojutsu, such as Sasuke or Itachi or Madara. They all come from the Uchiha line, and that line is known for having a dojutsu known as the Sharingan, as well as the Hyuga line, which is known for having a dojutsu known as the Byakugan. So Naruto apparently does not come from any of those lines that share that kind of eye power. Now, I'm not going to discount those reasonings as to why he shouldn't get a Rinnegan or why he won't get a Rinnegan. But what really intrigued me was just this idea of him becoming, or the possibility of him becoming a Jinchuuriki to the Juubi, or the newly formed Juubi. Now, he's already controlled, or not so much controlled, but he's got a new relationship with the Kurama, so is that, he's getting closer and closer to being a perfect Jinchuuriki. Him melding his chakra with Kurama, so he can form full Bijou mode. In that fight against the other, what you call, Bijous that were being controlled by Tobi, he was able to wrestle control from Tobi using the Juubi, not Juubi, but the other Bijous on the battlefield. And in that process, he was able also to contact as well as to come in communication with the other Bijous. Now, that episode was called Nine Names. And that gave me the thought that if all of them were going to fist bump him, as well as give him their names, that he was on track to becoming, not becoming, but having a closer relationship with these Bijous. Now, none of them have their Jinchuuriki. And if you look in the flashbacks with the Sage of Six Paths, he keeps talking about a new person who will lead them down the right path, i.e., the new Jinchuuriki to these guys. He also talked about how they wouldn't be separate, or that they would all eventually become one again. Now, obviously, the one of all these nine is the Juubi. Now, you've got detractors out there saying that, the Hachibi or the Eight Tails is still in B, as well as Shukaku is inside the Gedomazo. So that'll kind of throw a monkey wrench into that idea of him becoming the Juubi. More so the B thing. Be with the Gyuki or the Hachibi. I don't see that as a problem. And the reason I don't see that as a problem is primarily one reason. They're all beginning to recognize, including the Hachibi, that he has those qualities of the Sage of Six Paths. And that they're all beginning to believe in him by throwing him their trust and their chakra, as well as their communications. They're all coming under that, I guess, that one roof of thinking. Now, this being said, we have to go back to the Juubi. Okay, the Juubi, the original Juubi, was this ultra powerful demon. Okay, 10 tails and this one singular eye that looked like a massive Sharingan superimposed over a Rinnegan. Now, this is the key to why I think Naruto is going to get the Rinnegan. When you look at the back of the Sage of Six Paths cloak, when he was able to acquire the Juubi after the big fight, after he was able to defeat the Juubi and then put him into himself so that he could be the Jinchuuriki of this massive energy. You look at the back of his cloak, there's a Rinnegan at the top. And then there's 9 Tomoe, those little swirly figures. Now, each of those Tomoe, to me, represents a tail that was on the Juubi. The Rinnegan, okay, the Rinnegan at the top is a physical, what I think is the key to the Rinnegan on the top of his, the design pattern on his cloak. What the Rinnegan is that is the 10th tail of the Juubi. And it's not literally the 10th tail, but the manifestation of the Rinnegan, the physical manifestation of that Rinnegan is that 10th tail on the Juubi. What happens is, when you look at just the Juubi's eyes, it's the 9 tails or the 9 Tomoes on those concentric circles. And then the eye itself is that 10th tail. So what I'm thinking is that when the Sage's 6 Paths fought against the Juubi, and now people are going to disagree with me on this one, is that after he was defeated, that all those different Tomoes went into his body, and then that eye itself went into the Sage's, his own eyes. He acquired this dojutsu. I just don't think that he had it coming in. I think he acquired it from the Juubi. Okay? With this being my belief about why, or my theory as to how the Rinnegan came about, I feel that as soon as Naruto is able to become a Jinchuuriki to this newly formed Juubi, that the Rinnegan will awaken or will manifest itself in Naruto. He will be, once they all combine their powers, and that's powers, but they combine their chakra, that 10th tail, or, I call it with the 10th tail, is that Rinnegan will awaken in his eyes. Now, this might not be a completely, seamless theory, but I really, really believe that he's going to get it. Not because, he's from some line, because the common theory right now is that to have a Rinnegan or to awaken a Rinnegan, you either have to have EMS, which is the Internal Mangekyo Sharingan, and it's like a development thing, or that EMS develops into that Rinnegan because you incorporate Senju DNA. So basically you have to have the DNA of the elder son and the younger son combined, and then you awaken this dojutsu. But I'm not really too sure about that. We haven't really been shown that that's completely true, that you get a Rinnegan because of that combination. People are going to say, well, you look at Toby, he's got the combination of both. Now he's got the Rinnegan, but we really don't know how he got the Rinnegan other than he went back to Nagato and took his Rinnegan and put it in his eye. We don't know if he originally had it because he's known to be a liar. Secondly, the other person who had it was Madara, but he's really, not too real ultra specific about it. He just says it came about after his, after his battle, or well, not after his battle, but right before his death, he awakened it. So we don't know if he got it during the battle with Senju Hashirama or after the battle with Senju Hashirama. We do know that he acquired some of Senju Hashirama's cells, so that's why it's a strong theory that he got the Rinnegan as a result of not ingesting but melding the Senju Hashirama cells into himself. But I don't really completely buy that. The thing I think is the key is that the dojutsu, which was acquired from the Juubi into the Sage, is how it was acquired. So it'll be reacquired by Naruto when he becomes this Jinchuuriki. So that's kind of my theory right there. And you can buy it, or you can support it, or you can discredit it. But I want you to kind of toss it around, because that seems like a legitimate reason as to why he could get a Rinnegan. So that's my thoughts. Signing out. Please be gentle. It's my first, post, so don't completely annihilate me. Thanks.